How do we stay consistent? When we set a goal or we want to develop a habit, how do we get to the point where we can almost automatically be sure that we're going to continue to move forward? And especially if you're an entrepreneur or content creator of any kind, podcaster, YouTuber, blogger, doesn't matter. When you stay consistent and you continually show up, guess what else happens? Your audience is going to start showing up. Now, of course, there's a lot of nuances around this in terms of what it is that you say when you do show up, or what it is that you do when you are doing the thing, and whether it's building habits to help you get more fit, or to develop your business, or to just become a better version of yourself. Today, we're going to talk about 5 different things that are going to help you stay more consistent. So if you're here live with me today, make sure you give me a hello and say hello to your friends here in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, hook me up with a hashtag team replay. Thumbs ups go a long way. So at any point in this video, when you do start receiving value, hook me up with a thumbs up, but I want to earn it. Don't give it to me yet. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you, and welcome to the show.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Flynn.
So consistency is important. And I wanted to talk about this today because, yesterday was episode 300, and wait for the song to end here. I'm not quite sure how my sound levels are, and I want to make sure you hear this because this is really important. Yesterday, we had episode 300, and I think this way. Episode 300 yesterday, 300 straight days, and I wanted to give you some tips based on the previous 300 days in terms of things that have helped me stay and remain consistent here. And of course, this isn't just for going live. And this isn't just for posting on social media. A lot of us start things, we stop things, whatever those things might be that you want to continue to move forward with. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today in terms of how to do that. So again, thank you so much, and big thank you to Uncle Bill here, who reminded me that I do have that intro, and I love playing that because that's super fun. And of course, I hope you're having a great 2021 as well. Let's start ourselves off on the right foot, and let's get in the right habit and remain consistent. So today, again, we're talking about how to stay consistent. So let's talk about 5 different things. First up, we're going to talk about reducing the friction. What is friction? Friction provides heat and requires energy, right? And when it comes to staying consistent, the more energy that's required to start the thing, the less likely it is that it is actually going to happen. When we reduce the friction, to be more specific, we're making things easier for us, smoother, if you will. We want to lubricate that process, if you will. And that way, whenever it's time to go do the thing again, we're actually more likely to follow through. Case in point, and this comes from James Clear's book, Atomic Habit. He talks about the idea of getting up every morning and going on a run. And the idea being that if you want to reduce the friction to that, obviously, going on a run sounds simple. And if we want to build this habit, great. Start of the year, we're really excited. We want to do this a little bit more. But of course, there comes that point where the honeymoon period is over and we start to drop off, and we take a day off, the day turns into a week off, the week turns into a month off, and then all of a sudden it's 2022, and we're like, oh, well, let's try to see if we can do this again, right? So in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, he talks about this idea of, well, if you want to run every day, let's make it as easy for you as possible. So the night before, let's get the running shoes out, let's get your clothes ready, let's just have it so simple. To take that even further, perhaps you just have an additional spare key that you can just put in your pocket, or some other anything that requires any sort of thinking or work. Let's just have that be as smooth as possible. And that way you're just more likely to not have, number one, enough time to think yourself out of it or to talk yourself out of it, right? You could just kind of go right in and you can start building these habits. But number 2, it's just so much easier to do. And of course, after you finish that habit, or after you finish that run more specifically, oftentimes you feel great and you're very proud of yourself. But if there's a lot of friction to get started, it's going to be a lot harder. So let's say, for example, that you are a blogger and you want to be consistently writing blog posts. Well, have you thought about how much friction there is for you before you start writing and getting involved? I would actually take the time to the next time you start blogging, or the next time you start filming a video, the next time you start going live on YouTube, or whatever the case may be. Think about all the steps that are required, and any moments where you have to think at all. are moments of friction. I would do what you can to remove those moments as much as possible, because you want to get to the point where you can fully show up and get right into it, whether it's writing or filming or whatever the case may be, right? So case in point, let's take the income stream, this show that has been now here for 301 days straight. And when I made the commitment to do this for an entire year, which probably came around the 3-week mark, we were just about to hit 1 month, and I said, you know what if we actually get to a whole year? Of course, I broke down that big goal into a lot littler goals. Let's try for a full month. Let's try for 100 days. Let's try for 200 days. Here we are now 300 days in. And we'll talk more about gamification in just a little bit. But knowing that this was going to be something that I was going to do over and over and over again, I made sure to make this as simple and as easy as possible for me. So, camera equipment required to do live streams. Literally, I can just walk in. I could wake up late at 8:58 a.m., or in this case, 11:58, which means I had a rough night the night before, apparently. But anyway, this is just an example. I could wake up, calm down, fire the computer on, and it's ready to go. I don't have to do anything because I've set up the night before the room. I literally just have to go into Ecamm Live. I just check my settings really quick. Boom, we're ready to go. There's no setting up of cameras. The cameras are already set up. The intros and all the sound effects, everything is already set up. And I have the least amount of friction possible. I'm super lubricated by the time I come on this show. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but I think you know what I mean again. We need to reduce the friction as much as possible. So Chad, if you're here live with me right now, I would love for you to just open up to me, if you can, and tell me something that within a habit that you do or within something that you want to be consistent in, what is a piece of friction that you have that you could probably get better at and reduce so that you can get better at doing this? Because a lot of times, especially with things that aren't that exciting, the income stream is definitely exciting. So that helps for sure. But especially with things that you want to be consistent with that maybe are a little bit of a struggle, that have a little bit of a hurdle to jump over, it's important to think about so that we can maybe get some steps so we can jump over that hurdle a little bit, right? Inyanet says 301 shows, that's staying consistent. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for that. No matter what, wow, missed so much, won't be the same when not live. Thank you for your generous contribution to people who you don't even know. Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's go over to some people who say, or who are sharing some of the things that they need to be more consistent with, or perhaps have a lot of friction involved, right? So Pascal here says writing, right? Grandma Goody says gathering and setting up the tech for sure, especially for those who are a little bit less tech savvy. If you can set it up and just know, okay, this button and then this button, I'm live or I'm filming, there we go, right? Kathy says, my mood gets in the way. That's really interesting. We'll talk more about sort of the emotion of going consistent in just a little bit. Matable says, I want to be consistent with the gym. Only thing inconsistent right now. One thing that Nomadables that has helped many people get more consistent about showing up at the gym is, again, let's make it as simple as possible. And a lot of times what makes it hard is thinking about all the work that's going to be done there. Oftentimes we just think, and our body is under stress, so we often talk ourselves out of it because of that. But what James talks about is this idea of like, let's just see if we can run 1 minute on the treadmill. Like that's the goal. Let's just run 1 minute and just walk into those doors and run 1 minute, because you're almost tricking yourself. You can do 1 minute, you know this. And when that becomes your goal, guess what? When you're there, you can go for 2, you can go for 5, you can go for 10. You've walked in the door, you're there, and it's actually more painful to have wasted that time once you walk into that door, if that makes sense. Wendy says, having my treatment room set up night before with all my items in setup night before. Yes. So that's great. And then even within that, even within the setup of the things the night before, how can we make that easy, right? Let's reduce the friction as much as possible. Grandma Goody says, we had to buy another Smart Lav yesterday because we couldn't find it after hiatus. No, sorry about that. Paval says, putting a direct link on the desktop to that Udemy course is a great idea. There you go. So if you know that you're going to be wanting to consistently consume content and get into a course, well, let's make it easy for yourself to do that. Let's put a link to that course on your desktop. I use the same thing in my apps, any apps that I use all the time. I don't want to have to go and find them, especially if they're habit building or meditation or anything like that. I have them on my homepage on my phone so that I can easily go and grab them. By the way, if you want an easy way to get to the income stream, just put this link in your desktop or on your bookmark, patflynn.com/the income stream. That's it. patflynn.com/income stream will also work. I have both of those working. Cool. What's up, Mike? Good to see you here. Kathy, Sherry, Dawn, Angelina. Perfect. You guys are amazing. Thanks for coming up. Okay, well, let's move on to number 2. Again, we just talked about reducing the friction, removing all the little things that usually will stop you or at least have you pause and either talk yourself out of it. We want to just get right into it. So the more that you can set things up beforehand and the more that you can just kind of step into that zone, if you are a blogger, let's make it easy for you to get to whatever tool that you use to write. Maybe it's a Google Doc, right? And maybe when you get there, you're not worried anymore about what you're going to write because you've already spent time planning that ahead of time, and you can just go right in and start blogging. And that's what I did. That's actually something that my team and I have set up when it comes to blogging and writing, is when I go and open up a Google Drive and then I open up that particular blog post, number one, it's already set up, so I don't even have to create a new document. It's set up ahead of time. Number two, I go in there, I already know what that topic's going to be about. I don't know what the title is necessarily, but I know the topic. And by then, there's already bullet points and things that I can go and at least work off of instead of just that crazy moment of just that blank cursor, right? You've seen that before, just the cursor like basically talking to you the entire time. You can't think of anything to write. That's a huge friction moment when it comes to blogging. So let's reduce the friction as much as possible. Fantastic. Number 2, gamify and create streaks. If you want to be consistent, see how you might be able to see your consistency come to life. And what I mean by that is you might be able to have, and there's many different apps, tools, things. I'm not going to talk about any of those things right now, but just the idea of finding your own way to play this game with yourself. Meaning, let's see, maybe it's a row of check marks on a piece of paper on how many days you've been consistent. Let's think about the Apple Watch and filling in those rings. This has become something that I've noticed from a lot of people who do have an Apple Watch, who do pay attention to their fitness and steps and how often they're moving around, how often they're sitting down. Their phone, their watch really shows how many days they've been consistent in filling in those rings. I remember when there was a moment where a bunch of my friends in my mastermind group and I, we got really involved using the Fitbit, right? And the goal was 10,000 steps per day. And we would just share with each other. Accountability is important in this manner as well. But we would share with each other how many days in a row we got to 10,000 steps. And I remember this was back when I lived in my old house before I got into other fitness related things. But I was like, 8,000 steps with a couple hours left to go in the day. Dude, I was walking around the house just trying to get to 10,000 because I couldn't not keep that streak going. So streaking is an important thing. And I'm not talking about the kind of streaking you do in college. I'm talking about the kind of streaking that you do when it comes to your goals and whatever it is that you want to stay consistent with. Are you keeping track of how many days or how many times or any of this stuff? Oftentimes we behave in a way where we are more likely to take action when there's this idea of the ability to lose something, right? Have you heard of this before? This idea that we are more likely as human beings, especially entrepreneurs, in fact, to take action when we know there's a possibility of losing something. We would actually much rather not lose something than to gain something new, right? This is why scarcity and urgency works really, really well in marketing. So when it comes to these consistent goals that you might have, when you see the streak going and you see it building, it adds momentum, all that sort of stuff comes into play as well. But the idea of missing a day starts to actually feel painful to a point where you get to keep going. I would cry right now if I wasn't able to go live on our way to 365 days. I would literally cry because then I'd have to start over and go another 365. Now, that doesn't mean if you want me to keep going live to try and find a way to sabotage my computer so that I'm not able to go live. I have multiple sources. I have multiple ways of doing that. So don't think that that's going to happen. I am going to 365, and then we're going to go to weekly after that because I still want to check in with y'all. But we're going to be doing a refocus on our YouTube campaign to go more pre-loaded videos, pre-recorded, based on keywords and search volumes and stuff. Scrap Happy says, I don't want to lose my 312-day streak on Duolingo. That's amazing, by the way. And if anybody else has a streak that you're on right now, besides, 25,672 days alive, that's a great streak, by the way. But there's a reason why at facilities, warehouses, they have how many days without an injury? because they want that streak to be going. They want to keep that on top of people's minds, and you can do the same thing for you as well. So let me know, what is it that is something that you've actually been pretty good with in terms of keeping up your streak? I'd love to share that with everybody. Kathy says, "Don't cry, Pat. You'll make it." I won't. We'll be good. We'll be good. Bernard, welcome in, my friend. Thanks for being here. Thank you. Jorge says, "Nugget, Pat." Good. I'm throwing nuggets all day long. Fit over 50. I'm driving and just got an idea for the blog. Is there a best blogging platform? I mean, WordPress for sure. I would, before diving in, this is very common, Fit over 50, you have an idea and you just go. And I think going and just shipping, like Seth Godin says, is really important. But at the same time, let's validate this first. So maybe you write an article on medium.com first, just to see what it's like to write about this thing, to get a sense, and whether or not people see it or not, do this for you. Because I know some people, including myself and my wife, we started a blog in 2010 called A Couple of Thoughts. I don't know if you remember this story, but we started a website after the success of my architecture website. I was like, ooh, I know how to do blogging now. Wouldn't it be cool, babe, that's what I call April, if we created a website where there was a topic of the week, and every week we had your female perspective and my male perspective, and it was just called A Couple of Thoughts. We had purchased a domain name. There was no theme that would allow us to put two different author stuff side by side at the same time with a little topic in the middle. So I hired a company, paid them $900 to build a custom WordPress theme. We got it all set up, and then we started writing. And then we got into a little fight. We're okay. But it just basically showed us that, okay, if we had only started writing about this, we would realize that this is not what we want to do or the position we want to put ourselves in. So let's validate first, and then you can kind of get excited having that validation, again, for yourself, the ability to write about this thing, because these ideas are one thing, but actually execution is another. So we just talked about gamifying, creating streaks, and finding some mechanism by which you can start keeping track of all these things so that you can actually see what it is that you're building and have the ability to see what would happen if you stop. And that is, that's a loss. That's a big L when you lose that streak. Now, of course, I do want to say, there is this idea that if you miss a day, the whole world falls apart. And I'm just here to tell you that this is not true. This is also within James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. You might miss a day. If you're on the streak of, no sugar, and you're at 28 days, and you were going for 30, it can feel terrible. It can absolutely feel terrible to miss out on that goal that you had. And like I was saying, I would cry if I don't know why I'm air quoting that, because I probably would actually cry. But you know what? You miss a day, so what? Try just not to miss 2 in a row. Just get back on that saddle and keep going. Because the worst thing to happen would be to get, for example, 28 days in, you think you're a failure, and then you start eating tubs of ice cream because you didn't hit your 30-day streak, when in fact, you were 95% of the way there. Who is that? David. Yo, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. I built my online Circle community. Can you talk about the process of accepting payments for the membership? Do you think Circle will integrate payment processing like Teachable does? Yeah, really quick here, since you were so generous with the super chat, and then I'll move on to topic number 3 here in the world of being consistent with anything. The Circle platform is amazing. We have SPI Pro up on there, several hundred members who are there almost every day checking in with each other, and it's a great place to host a platform. Circle is not, or currently does not have, a payment processor like Teachable, where Teachable is sort of everything from payments to sales pages to all this stuff. Circle is just the platform for the community. So what we did was we just accepted payments through a landing page set up with a Stripe account. You could even do it through PayPal, whatever sort of mechanism you can have. Maybe one day in the future, but I like that they're not doing that, because that is a whole nother branch of the business for Circle. And the beauty of this is all their energy is focused on building the Circle platform in the best membership platform possible. So if you want to check out Circle, anybody, it's a membership platform. smartpassiveincome.com/circle is our affiliate link if you want to check that out. Cool. And again, they're brand new. They're coming out with multiple new things. I hear you, Scrap Happy, on that. There's a lot of things that are beautiful that are coming out that have been asked for, and they're just doing it really smart. They're just doing it in a very smart way so that they can get it right, and they want to make sure their communities are taken care of. Okay, let's move on to number 3. So far, in the world of how to stay consistent, we've talked about number 1, reducing the friction, make it super easy for you to actually get the ball going. Number 2, gamifying and creating streaks, because yes, it feels good to keep adding to that streak, but in fact, it actually is worse, or it feels worse. You're more afraid of losing the streak ending, right? Cool. Number 3, 1% improvements. So when you are consistent with something, you have this incredible ability. And yo, Network, thank you so much for that. Network Chuck, thank you for being here, my friend, and for the very generous super chat. Again, not required, and I'm here to help, but I will answer that question in just a moment, and it does actually connect with something that I'm about to talk about in one of the next points, so please stick around for that. What's up, Samson, GTO, Justin's here. We got Can Do Math. Thank you again for being here, my friends. Dawn, and big shout out to the moderators here who hold down the fort as well. Thank you so much. So number 3, 1% improvements, purposefully getting better every single time you do something. This is the beautiful thing that allows you to start thinking about how you can do something better versus how am I just going to do this at all. When you start thinking negatively about the thing that you're about to do, you start to question whether or not you should do that at all. Oh, I don't know if should I, I got to go on another run today, right? Versus flipping that script in your head and using something very purposeful, like a little bit of improvement. All right, today I want to shoot for an 8-minute mile because I was so close the other day. Let's see if I can just improve on that. Now your brain's not thinking about at all not doing this. You're thinking about the thing within the thing that you're doing and how to actually improve on that. James Clear, obviously, Atomic Habits, 1% improvement every day. This is the sort of theory and really the theme of the book. Atomic habits, little things that you can do that stack on each other, and 1% improvement over a time is huge, right? It's the same exercise as if you were to consider, okay, should you get $100 today, or should you get a penny and double it every day for 100 days? You're gonna have way more money if you compound and just go a little bit every day. So this advice of focusing on the improvements, this is so important. It removes the more likelihood that you will stop the streak because you're already in the position of thinking about doing it. You're just thinking about doing it better. And of course, when you do it better, it becomes better over time. So very much within this income stream, I've thought consciously, almost daily, about things that I can do better. Some of those examples where maybe I can do better with putting things on the screen and helping people have these pattern interrupts that show up when I'm talking about certain topics, right? That was one that I wanted to do today. Number 2, what do I do with my hands? Number 3, how do I tell stories? Number 4, how can I get more into a person's emotions? Like, I just think of one little thing that I can improve upon and I do better. And this is what forces me to think about, again, the thing and I'm doing it versus not doing the thing. This happened when I was on stages, right? Thinking about the 1% improvement I can make when I get on stage removes my worry about, am I even going to get up there at all? And it has me worry about, and again, I shouldn't use that language, worry about, it has me excited about potentially improving on one little aspect that'll eventually make me better and better over time. Okay, so chat, give me your favorite emoji, maybe the Pikachu emoji if you remember, if that is an electric tip for you. 1% improvement, purposefully think about getting better. So the next time you're going to create a video, what's the one thing that you're going to think about to improve upon the next time? Again, this removes your thoughts about not even doing this at all. If you're going to be doing a live stream, what would it be? If you're going to be doing a blog post, maybe it's better header structure. Maybe it's better copywriting. Maybe it's a better title the next time. So let's get better, right? Thank you. And if you've at all gotten any value from this so far, please hit the like button. We got way more people watching than the number of thumbs ups here. And so I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the emojis coming in. I see it. A lot of yellow. Spam the chat with the yellow, members. Okay. So far, we've talked about number 1, reducing the friction. Number 2, gamifying, creating streaks. Number 3, this idea of incremental improvements. So you're removing your thoughts about not doing this and always forward thinking about doing it, but just doing it better. Number 4, this goes to Network Chuck's question. How do I get better at being consistent on YouTube? So some of this stuff already is going to help you with that, right? Like number 1, let's make filming super easy. If this were easy, what would it look like? If there's so many things that you need to set up, Chuck, before you film, then it's going to be harder to be consistent, right? Number 2, gamify. Let's go 2 times a week and let's like keep that streak going, right? How can you play a game with yourself so that you get more motivated to do that? Number 3, think about improving in every video, and that way you're going to be more likely to do that. And now finally, number 4, if I can get this right, funk master your calendar. You got to funk master your calendar. So what does this mean? It means you got to really enjoy the idea that what it is that you schedule gets done. And as my buddy Chris Tucker says often, if it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't happen. So there's a few aspects to your calendar and scheduling that relate to being consistent. Obviously, there's just the obvious thing like, hey, if you're going to do something, put it in the calendar, right? But number 1, you need to obviously honor that, right? Number 2, you have to time block. And I think that this is where a lot of the struggle comes with to-do lists. When you create a to-do list, imagine a to-do list with 10 things on it, and you get 9 out of 10 done. You still feel like you didn't do a good job, and that's not cool, right? That was me coming home with a 97% of my math test and then only having my dad focus on the 3% that I got wrong, right? We don't want that to happen. Number 3, however, and the way that we should think about this is not the things that are to do during that time, but it's just the act of doing the thing, right? So time blocking is the real, we've had entire days here on the income stream talking about the importance of scheduling and the idea of time blocking. So time blocking means you have a certain amount of time within that calendar, within that day, if you will, to do the thing, right? And there's a few reasons why this works really well. Number 1, you're not focused on necessarily the end goal. You're focusing on being the most productive that you can be during that time. And in fact, many times what happens is you'll not just be able to film one video, for example, during that time. You might be able to film many. And you can learn to become more efficient during that time. So you can actually get more than just the thing that you would have had on the to-do list done. And when you start focusing on being efficient within that time, you start to enjoy it more. You have a better mindset when it comes to just starting that time and also ending it and feeling proud of the fact that you've just made progress, right? And instead of thinking to-dos, you just think of, okay, here's what's next. And when you have here's what's next, and that's what you know you're focusing on, nothing else matters and you can be more efficient with that time. So funk master your calendar, right? Anybody catch the secret word, by the way? I'm just making sure that you see it. Little wink. I never wink. I've never winked at you guys. That felt really weird. I'm sorry. I just felt that felt a little weird to me. I'll just call it a twitch. The funk master of your calendar, right? And the cool thing is with Funk Master, like Funk Master Flex, you're creating a rhythm. You're dancing in it. You're having a good time. You're creating new things. You're actually enjoying the process. Sometimes we feel like a slave to the calendar. I think that if we funk master our calendar, we can have a better time and actually enjoy the fact that we know we're making progress. And whatever progress we make, great. Some days you're not going to make great progress, and we can learn from that. Other days you're going to make massive progress, and you might get 3, 4, 5 more times things done than if you had just gone, okay, I'm going to film the YouTube video today, right? Cool. Network with a follow-up question here. How do I avoid doing too much on a video? I tend to get in a habit of, oh, I can add this one more thing. Should I limit my time on a video? I wouldn't necessarily limit your time because obviously if it's useful, you should do it. But I think that there is something to be said for as especially a creative entrepreneur, which I know you are. Yes, you create these really amazing things about networking and Cisco and all these kinds of systems, right? But, excuse me, hiccups. But you could find that by limiting the amount of time to spend on a video, for example, you then choose the best things and you remove a lot of the, in fact, extra stuff that's actually not needed. This is why I find that I actually do a lot of my best work the day before something is due because I don't have room to play around. I got to get right to it. Now, my big goal for the year is, in fact, to get a little bit ahead on things, even things that do have a deadline. So I'm trying to find mechanisms and ways for me to still feel that pressure so that I'm making decisions on things that actually matter and not adding new things that aren't necessary, right? But at the same time, there is something to be said for, okay, guys, pencils down, right? And perhaps for you in particular, Chuck, because many people have different things that they might need help with, but for you in particular, I think it would be interesting to almost force yourself to only spend so much time on a video, because that means that you're going to be forced to become efficient. You're going to be forced to only put the best things in there that actually matter. Your videos are probably going to be a lot more hard hitting in terms of just how valuable and engaging they are. And number two, you'll be able to more likely move on to the next video after that. So let me know if you agree with that, Chuck. Maybe hard. And yes, you can always add more, but imagine every painter in the world who created masterpieces thinking the same thing. Yeah, I can add another brushstroke, right? They would still be painting to this day. So that's what I would do. Am I going to set false deadlines? I'm not sure, Romer. That's a good question. I've tried that before, but then in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm just kidding myself. And then that false deadline moves to just the regular deadline. Cool. Bill says, yep, so totally agree. Cutting things out, right? Thank you. I'm the same way, says Dr. Severine Bryan. Doing things just before they are due. Mine is pure procrastination, though, not a good strategy. Network Chuck will be hard, but I need to do more and need more consistency. Gonna try it. Well, let's think about the other side of things. You might have 80% of ultimately what you want to include in a video, Chuck. But if you don't come out with more content and stay consistent, well, how are you going to keep a subscriber coming back? All the rest of the work for your future videos are going to be kind of for people who aren't quite sure whether or not they should continue to watch because you're just not consistent. I think the benefit of being consistent outweighs having your videos be perfect, in my opinion. The Madabel says, this one's for the Funk Masters. Thank you for the super chat, man. Perfect timing for that one. Thank you. I got to realize that my pop-ups here for the super chats come up when I have this in the background too. So, okay. So let's recap again. Number one, reduce the friction. Number two, gamify and create streaks. Number three, identify the things that you can do to have incremental 1% improvements all the time and have the idea of being using consistency to your advantage to get better, thus removing the ability for you to think about not doing the thing. And number four, funk master your calendar. Number five, remembering the why. Remembering the why. And remembering the other agents, the other players that are involved with this thing, right? A lot of times we feel that consistency is just for us, right? I need to reach this streak. I need to keep publishing on YouTube. I need to keep writing a blog post. But when you reframe this to your audience needs you to show up, Chuck. Sorry, just kind of right to you because we were just talking about that. What's up, Exo Edits? Good to see you here. Thank you. Travis, welcome in. Romer. So remembering that, yes, you have a why, probably a very personal why for doing this, but the why isn't just about you. It's about those who you are affecting as well. So what would happen if you were to stop? Even if you aren't getting any engagement, Romer, what is happening is you're not offering the opportunity for people in the future to engage with you with that piece of content. I think that engagement is key, and obviously when you see an audience show up every day to a live stream, you show up for them, and that's important. But at the same time, we have to realize that everybody starts from zero. And it's those who push through despite not having engagement right away that eventually start finding that engagement, because as you continue to be consistent, and as we said in number 4, you continue to improve, your voice will become stronger, your niche will become more refined, your language will get better, you will start to reach and attract the right people. And as we often say, your vibe is going to attract your tribe, but oftentimes you don't know what your vibe is at the start. So you might still be in that phase where you're still trying to figure things out, but the more you're consistent, the better. MKBHD said recently on an interview on the Smart Passive Income podcast that his first 100 videos were for his first 100 subscribers. And that's a really interesting way to phrase it, right? And I think we see that on the surface and we go, oh, okay, so he created 100 videos for just 100 subscribers. And there's a lot of, and that is true. And there's also a lot of encouragement with, wow, even like some of the biggest YouTubers, when they first started out, they were struggling. But were they? Because I want you to also pay attention to another way that this phrase might be considered. He created his first 100 videos for his first 100 subscribers. Instead of, he created for his first 100 videos for just 100 subscribers. For his first 100 subscribers. He kept going because he knew exactly who he was speaking to. And the more that you can consider that, the more likely you're going to hone in on the things that are going to make an impact and then attract that engagement that will keep you going as far as accountability from those who you are serving. Right? So Uncle Bill says, so I have to do 1,000 to get there. No, not true. There is no magic number. I mean, they often say, like, let's get through 100 videos first because people like nice round magic numbers that allow them to understand whether or not people are coming in or not, and, you know, etc. But who knows, Uncle Bill? Because I know some people who've created videos that seemingly are random in their archive, puts them on the map. And you never know. And this is something I think about all the time, especially on YouTube, where I'm not getting as much engagement as I am on my podcast, for example. But it could just be that next video that helps put you on the map for a particular thing. And that makes it fun and exciting. And it allows me to go deeper so I can see how I can increase my chances of making that happen. It allows me to learn about the things that I want to learn about. It allows me to learn from the people who I want to learn about so that I can keep seeing how I might be able to reach more people. Speaking of, let me see. That just plugged something in my brain really quick about this idea of, hold on, is it this one? Yeah, sorry. The video that I came out with, was it 2-3 months ago? Where I said, this is going to be my next $100,000 video. Or $100,000, 100,000 view video, right? So I'm going to look into my studio really quick because I remember when we filmed that, we got very purposeful and we began to understand, okay, well, what makes the video click with people? The thumbnail, the title, obviously, the content within it. We put pattern interrupts. And I just want to share with you where we're at because we said this is going to be the next video that gets to 100,000 views. And I just wanted to show you what happens when you are purposeful and when you put yourself out there. Because right now, this video is at 75,000 views. This video has just picked up. You can see the streak here, moving up. And already, with the ads involved in it, has already earned over $1,000. And that's pretty incredible. That's actually really, really cool. Also, when you scroll down, you're going to see some new things that you perhaps have not seen on YouTube before. And it's these graphs that show you spikes. And you can consider, and for this video, it's very clear because there's 5 things I talk about. These 5 spikes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the spikes where I mentioned the things. But this is great. And look, it had a very slow start, flat-lined, and then boom, it happened. So I'm really excited because we are going to get to the 100,000 that we shot for. It took some time, but with a little bit of planning, it worked. And so here's the thing and where this ties into what we're talking about here today in terms of consistency. I've been very consistent on the income stream. Now that we're 300 days in, I'm going to formally make the announcement that we're going to go to 365. On day 365, I don't even know what date it is, Chad, if you can let me know. That way I can just plan ahead of time. But we're going to get to 365. And after that, we're going to go weekly. Because midweek, I'm going to be publishing more videos like that one. That has enabled me not just to make more money. Again, that's the byproduct. But to reach more people who have never found us before. Many people who are watching this video right now, whether live or on the replay, found me for the first time on that video. It's hitting all the right places. It's getting found in search. It's getting found on people's browse and home pages here on YouTube. And that's really exciting to me. And so after day 365, we're going to see more videos like this. And I'm really excited because when you do the work and you are consistent, you know, things start to stack. The problem with this, and I'm not blaming the income stream or anything at all for this. My goal is to get to a whole year of the income stream. But I should be creating more and more videos like this. And I did even promise a follow-up video to that, which I am going to be filming, but there's only so much time. So then this begs the question on, okay, what are the things that we need to be consistent with? And there's always going to be things getting in the way, right? So I wanted to speak to this final bonus tip. I told you we were going to go over 5 things, but I have a bonus one for you, and it's this one here. Get better at your transitions. And I don't mean transitions from one camera angle to another. I don't mean those kinds of transitions. I don't mean transitions from one sentence to another if you're an essayist or a writer. What I mean by transitions is this. If you have things on the calendar and you have a work day and you have things planned, you have those things on your mind for things to do. There's always going to be things that interrupt your day, that are going to get in the way, or are seemingly better opportunities, or your kids come into the room, and then you're going to be sort of out of flow state, right? Because you want to be in that flow state as much as possible. This is the beauty of scheduling. For example, on Tuesdays, when I schedule my podcast interviews, I know when I wake up that day, that's podcast day. I know the mindset I need to be in to perform. I know the mindset I need to be in to ask the right questions and be genuinely curious and get massive loads done, maybe 5, 6, 7 episodes in one day. That way I can have, several weeks off, if you will, if I choose to. But oftentimes there are moments during the day that throw me off and I'm no longer in flow state. But learning how to get back has been a game changer. Just to dive right back in. Because I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if this is actually tracked or if there's any way to really know what happens, but I think we can all feel that sometimes it can take 10, 15, 20 minutes, an hour, or you might never get back to where you were when you've been interrupted. And that's unfortunate, right? It's unfortunate because we can't control a lot of these things on the outside. Kids maybe barge in, or somebody calls and there's an emergency, or just you get an email and it just kind of throws you off, or some hater or troll says something and then you just spiral downward. We can't often control those external factors, but we can control how we react to those things, number one. But number two, we can get better and improve on how we get back to what we were doing, to the things that we know we need to do, right? What's up, Birdie Lynn? Good to see you here. So March 19th. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Dr. Severin. So how do we get back into things faster? Number one is if I'm interrupted with something, I will, before I go act or move away from the thing I was doing, I just consciously think, what was the last thing I did, or what was I doing? I might even write a quick little note about about that, a little bullet point, right? Like, about to write paragraph about this or something. Because I don't want to leave any room for that minutes, hours even, throughout the whole day. That if you calculated where your time was spent during the day, I guarantee you a lot of that time, hours, were spent in transition mode from one task to another, right? Mr. Sir here says it's a muscle, and our will has to overpower the breakdown. For sure. Will is definitely important. It is absolutely a muscle that we have to train, for sure. Number one, being conscious about it is really key, right? Being conscious about this is really key. But number two, if you can kind of just go, okay, here's where I was, now go take care of the thing. Then you come back, you kind of remember where you were because you were conscious about it. It is when we are not conscious about it. It is when we are just, automated robots, sheep, if you will. And we just kind of respond to this fire here. We respond to that call here. We respond to this tweet here. And all of a sudden, you're trying to get back into the thing and you're not able to, right? But if you just go, okay, consciously, right, whatever you need to do, whatever hand motions you might need to do. I know this looks eclectic, but I'm going to do it anyway. Do it and think about the thing that you were just doing. And then you go do the thing, and then you can come right back into it, right? So much easier. Absolutely so much easier to get back. That helps half the time. Another thing that I've done that has helped is meditation. And I spend 5-10 minutes a day. That's it, meditating. And meditating, I remember when I first started learning about meditation, Bill, there you go. He said the exact same thing. So meditation's huge. And when I first started learning about meditation, I was like, okay, do I really want to sit with like incense and go like this for like hours and have no thoughts at all? This was a totally stereotypical bias, like unfair thing for me to think, because that's not what it is. And the only way to really know how something is to put yourself out there and try it, or at least learn from somebody who has. And when I started hearing people like Tony Robbins and Tim Ferriss and all these other entrepreneurs who are very successful talk about meditation, I was like, okay, this can't be like some fad or something that is weird and like not cool. I'm going to try it out. So I tried it out. I got Headspace, which is an app, and that's working pretty well. Hashtag not sponsored. But then I got this thing called the Muse, which I don't use anymore because I've already trained myself to do this. But the Muse is this electronic device. It almost looks like a headband. You put it on, it like sort of rests on the back of your ears on both sides. And it actually can read your brainwaves. And you actually can kind of gamify the meditation process because it gives you instant feedback as to whether or not you're actually doing it right, which was the trouble for me. I didn't know if I was doing it right. I never knew what it felt like, right? That's like trying to train somebody how to breathe. It's like, yeah, how are you supposed to even like get them to know how? Like, you just don't. But anyway, this feedback, this immediate feedback loop would allow me to understand when I was in more of a meditative state and when I wasn't in a meditative state, right? So the interesting thing about this is I eventually learned that meditation is not having like zero thoughts and a clear mind. What it means is having a focused mind. So when you can get into the state where, and I found that like even simple exercises like counting my breaths, I was having trouble counting my slow breathing. Like I would get to 12, then my mind would race again. And then I'd catch myself. And then I come back. Okay, let me start over. 1. And just thinking about that. And what that does is it allows you to slow down. And I found that every single time I got off track, and Muse, what it does is it starts playing like if you're in the ocean room, if you will. What happens is if you are thinking and you're racing, your sounds will have large crashing waves, and you start to hear a lot of wind. And then you can go, okay, calm. And then you start to hear the waves go away, and you start to hear birds chirping. And when you hear a bird chirp, that's like a certain. You try to get as many birds chirping as possible. The trouble was when I would hear a bird chirping, I would start thinking about that, and my mind would race because I was so excited, and then I'd hear the loud crushing waves again. So there was a little bit of weirdness in that regard. But eventually, I trained myself out of the Muse. I didn't need this device anymore because I know what it's like now to have focus. And now I can count to like 30 with no problems, which I know sounds weird. But when you're slow breathing and you're trying not to have your mind race, this is sort of exercising that muscle. And what eventually happens now is that I can be in a flow state in a podcast, literally in the middle of an interview even, and I might get interrupted or the person's connection might drop or something. And I can just pick it right back up. And it's been one of the most helpful bonuses, if you will, of meditation for sure, is the ability to get back into flow state as quickly as possible, for sure. And so that's really fun. So chat, let's recap one more time. Today, I think, was a very well-structured episode. I'm very grateful that we had this topic to talk about. Thanks to episode 300, and thank you for that, because you're definitely a part of that. In addition to all the things we talked about to help you stay consistent, I think understanding who the other players are involved is a really key component that we didn't spend a ton of time about, but that is related to the idea of your why and like who else is involved in this being consistent. If you are no longer creating YouTube videos because you're inconsistent, guess what? People are no longer able to benefit from the work and the efforts and your experience and your wisdom. So let's do this for them, right? Cool. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Pavel, Glenda, Gabriella, Shonda. Sweet. Hopefully this was a great episode for you. Number 1, let's reduce the friction. Lubricate it. Whatever it is that you think that you need to do again and again and again. Let's make it as simple as possible for you. Let's reduce the amount of work required to just get started with that. Number 2, gamify and create streaks, right? Actually map out and see how many times you've done this thing in a row. You can get to little milestones that you can celebrate, which then create endorphins to help you want to continue to do that again. Or there's this idea of hating losing out on missing on that streak, right? Think about the Apple Watch and the rings that everybody is so obsessed with filling in. There's a reason why they put them on there, because it encourages them to continue to keep going and stay consistent with their fitness. Number 3, 1% improvements. 1% improvements every single time. When you start changing your mind from, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, to, well, how can I do that thing better? It starts to get exciting. You start to see improvements. You start to get better. And you're no longer thinking about not doing the thing. It's just baked in as part of the process already. Now you are thinking about and excited about what you can do to improve upon it. Number 4, funk master your calendar. Getting in there, time blocking, really honoring that calendar and understanding that if it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. And realizing how important that is. Number 5, remembering your why, but also who else is at stake here, right? What is a consequence of you stopping this streak? Whoa. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. I haven't done that pattern interrupt in a long time. Wow. Sorry about that. Yes, dude, it's been so long since I've done that one. Is this sound effect coming through for that one? Let me see. Let me try that one more time. It is. Sweet. Nah, my bad. My bad. Okay, the bonus button was above it, not next to it. Wow, okay. Sorry about that. This was a sick stream, says Network Truck. Thank you, mind blown. Love Headspace and Insight Timer, nice. LOL, hee hee, that was awesome. Your bonus, get better at those transitions, whether it's through meditation or having the ability to pick up where you left off better, meaning consciously understand where the stopping point was so you can consciously get back into it, which sometimes we just have trouble getting back into things. Ooh, I pattern interrupted myself. I totally did that, Travis. That's hilarious. Which is exactly what we need to do. If you've been consistently inconsistent, let's interrupt that pattern. Thank you, Travis. And let's get better. Again, 1% improvements, and hopefully these 5 strategies, which this is one of those cases where you can actually do all of them, and you probably should, and especially bonus number 6 here, because that will then sort of tie everything together. Oftentimes I give you a list post style of things, and I just go, okay, just pick 1 or 2 of these things. But honestly, all of these things should be baked in for maximum efficiency and all that sort of stuff. So, whew. Scooby Life says, will you cover an in-depth paid newsletter soon? Yes. I'm doing research on that, trying to reach out to people to see and get more information from them. So it's just not coming from me who's inexperienced, but from others who have experience with it. Right. This one is 100K vid, easy for you. You have gold and you give gold. Yeah, I might actually repurpose the content here in some way to share more about, why did I snap? I don't know. To turn it into a much tighter pre-recorded video. Or I might refilm it in a way that is conscious about the fact that people are going to be watching this and have like a more beautiful hook and one that hooks people in and makes sure people sticking around, all that kinds of stuff. Whew, all right. But yeah, I agree with this one. But again, views come from clicks. That's just the name of the game. So although the content was great here in this particular one, views come from a title and a click that is intriguing, perhaps is a little bit clickbaity because we want to get people to kind of come in and we can go from there. So, all right, chat. Thank you so much. You can hook me up with a thumbs up if you got any value here today. I appreciate it. The thumbs down actually was in here in the room, I believe, before the room actually started. So I don't know who was having some trouble this morning, but hopefully we can turn that frown upside down and make it happen. Poke Kanono in the house. What's up? I love seeing my Poke friends here from my other channel and in the Pokemon community. Really excited. Hey, Poke Kanono, you want to see something cool? I'm like finished with this content today, so let me share something cool with you. So there's a card. So this is what I mean about talking about like doing a little bit of research, right? So I'm going to look up this card that's coming out shortly here. It's called Special Delivery Charizard. Let me just nerd out with you for the next 6 minutes here. So there's a card called Special Delivery Charizard, and this card is not out yet, and it's one that's going to go very, very big. Here's the copy of the card right here on the. Sorry, where am I at? I'm totally covering up the card. So it's right here. It's called Special Delivery Charizard, and this is pretty cool because it is one that is definitely going to make some waves. There's another card like it with just Pikachu that kind of just went bonkers, and the prices are so expensive right now. This one's going to go crazy too. So there's a lot of hype and noise. This is like when I talk about newsjacking as an entrepreneur, this is newsjacking, and I'm demonstrating this, right? So there's this card called Special Delivery Charizard that's going to come out very, very soon. So I want to get ahead of this. So there's a lot of content creators who are talking about this card right now, which is great because a lot of people are looking it up, how to get it, what's it going to be priced at, should I invest in it, etc. But I'm taking the approach of I want to go deep with this card and sort of what inspired this card and where it came from. So I have this card here that is going to be, sorry, where's that? There it is. There we go. This card is going to be a demonstration of going a little bit of a different route. And so I have, in fact, the original Special Delivery Charizard. This was a card I invested in, and I am assuming that the price of this one's going to go up, so I knew it was going to be worth investing in. But here's that card here, and as you can see, very similar with Charizard and then Pikachu on his back, with also Pichu on his back. And one of the most fun things that's happened so far since starting this Pokemon YouTube channel is I found through my research a woman named Grace. She actually created the website called Pokemon Center in New York, because this card was actually given out only to people who showed up at the grand opening on November 16th, 2001 at the Pokemon Center, the first one to ever open in the US in New York. It shut down, so it's gone. So there's even more meaning behind this. But I found a woman named Grace who I interviewed, and I pulled some stories out, and it's going to be all embedded in this video to talk about the importance of this Pokemon Center and its history and all this. I'm learning so much, and I'm just having such a fun time digging deep, right? Deep pocket monster. And it's just been really cool to find where my voice is in this space. I'm really excited about that. This card I got for $999 about a month ago, and the price is almost 2x'd at this point. And then I have the other card that they were giving away in a PSA 10 as well, the Pokemon Center card. And these two were given out just to people who had a special invitation postcard. So that's pretty cool. I'm really excited about that, and we'll see. Grace, says Lex. Anyway, you're the first to know about that. I have a video that I've already shot about that, and it's coming out probably in the next couple weeks. So really excited. Yeah. Anyway, do I use Troll and Toad for value, says Bill. I actually use eBay. Troll and Toad's okay, but especially for PSA graded things, I look at the already sold items on eBay. So anyway, yeah, just fun stuff. Cool. Sorry, I'm super deep into Pokemon stuff right now, so I'm really excited about it. Also, if you didn't catch it, if I go to YouTube here, if you're curious, my man Pokemon Radar, who is a podcaster in the Pokemon space, here is his channel here. He's been doing a lot of excellent deep work in the world of podcasting. 2 days ago, he interviewed me. So I don't think the sound's coming through to you, and that's okay. But you can go check that out. How to Start a Pokemon Podcast. Already over 1,000 views. It's sent a lot of people over to here, actually, which is pretty cool. So already making waves in that space. And really, truly, it's all because of just connections and trying to provide value to people. Really, it's been pretty cool. So check that out. I just came from that podcast, says Polly. No way. Dude, legit. That's awesome. Polly in the house. Thank you. So yeah, Pokemon Raider is super cool. He's going deep into a lot of the trophy card and investment side of stuff. And he wanted me on because I'm brand new to the space. And I think it was a very honest conversation. He asked great questions and, had a great time. So, hey, thank you so much for coming in today, everybody. I appreciate you. Again, remember, we talked about today how to stay consistent. So if you're coming in late, make sure you go back and watch that, because this is probably one of the most useful episodes of this show that you will see that will have a dramatic effect on the things that you are attempting to do this year. I know that many of you have big goals, big habits you want to create, fitness, health, mental health, whatever, collecting even. And the more that we implement these strategies, again, one more time, number one, reducing the amount of friction to then start something that helps you get started faster. Number two, gamify and create streaks for sure. Number three, thinking about the improvements that you can make each time you do something, not just talking yourself out of doing it again, but when you are in the mindset of attempting to get better, you're going to get better at it and be more consistent. Number four, funk master your calendar, really get in there and start planning and putting time in to make progress, not time in to check things off a list, but time in to make progress, because you'll actually get more done the more efficient you are there. Number five, remembering the why, and also remembering who else is at stake here. If you were to actually stop this streak of yours, who else is going to be affected by it, right? There's consequences. Number five and number six, bonus, get better at your transitions so that you can completely stay on top of things, even if you were to get interrupted, right? So there you go. Thank you so much, Team Flynn. I appreciate you. A lot of great work today. Tomorrow, we are going to be starting at, let me get my calendar going here. Tomorrow, Thursday the 14th, we are going to be starting at 9 a.m. So our usual time, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Thanks for coming in today. I appreciate you. High five. We did it. Much love to you. Take care. And as always, Team Flynn for the win. Hit that like button before you go. Appreciate you. Here we go.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream. All while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Thank you again for your time and attention today. I know that there's only so many hours in the day, and the fact that you're willing to spend some time with me to help make improvements in your life and your business and your goals, that means the world to me, and I'm here to help you, and I know you're here to help me too. So if you want to help me one more time, hit that like button before you go. Thank you so much. Peace out. You're amazing.
Bruh.